Everyone leaves. Eventually, the raw ache of life, trust, and shattered hearts. In the dead silence of 3 a.m., when the world is asleep and your chest feels like it's caving in, the truth hits you like a cold wave crashing over bare skin. Everyone leaves eventually. It's not just words. It's a knife twisting slowly in the gut, a scream swallowed by the dark, the brutal, bleeding reality of being human. We are born reaching for warm hands, only to spend a lifetime watching those same hands slip away, some gently, some violently, all without mercy. Trust? That delicate, trembling thing we offer like a fragile glass heart, hoping someone will hold it carefully. But life doesn't care about hope. It shatters. It abandons. It leaves you on your knees, gasping, wondering how you'll ever breathe again. This isn't some distant philosophy. This is the salt-stung tears on your pillow, the hollow echo in your ribcage where someone used to live, the way your throat closes when their name appears on your phone months later. This is heartbreak, raw, ugly, alive, and tonight I'm ripping it open with you, through trembling stories of real souls who bled this truth. We'll walk through the fire together. Because if you're reading this, you already know the sting. Maybe you're still bleeding. Let me hold your hand in the dark and remind you, you're not alone in this unbearable ache. The cruel illusion that they'll stay forever. From our very first breath, we crave permanence. A tiny hand clutches a mother's finger, believing it will never let go. We grow up chasing that same promise in parents, friends, lovers. We whisper, forever, like a prayer, as if saying it loud enough will make it true. Elena was 8 when she first felt the world lie to her. Her father, broad-shouldered and laughing, would swing her high above the park grass, her giggles echoing like bells. "I'll always catch you, Beta," he'd promise, his voice warm as sunlight. She believed him with every cell in her small body. Trust was effortless then, pure, unshakable. Then came the cough that wouldn't stop, the hospital smells, the thinning hair, the way his once strong arms trembled when he tried to hug her. Cancer ate him alive, piece by piece, while Elena sat beside his bed, holding a hand that grew colder each day. On the last night, he squeezed her fingers weakly and whispered, "Be brave, my girl." Hours later, he was gone. Just gone. She was 15 at the funeral, rain soaking her black dress, watching dirt fall onto his coffin like the final betrayal. That night, alone in her room, she curled into a ball and sobbed until her throat bled raw. "Everyone leaves eventually," she choked out to the empty air. The words tasted like poison and truth. Her father, the one person she thought would defy death, had left her. The illusion shattered and something inside her broke forever. College library, their eyes locking over dog-eared textbooks. He had a crooked smile that made her, years later, Elena still flinches when people say, "always." She built walls taller than skyscrapers, terrified of another fall. But the ache never dulled. It lived in her chest like a permanent bruise, tender to the touch. And yet, years after, in a quiet cafe on a rainy afternoon, she met Alex. He had kind eyes and a voice that felt like coming home. Against every screaming instinct, she let him in. When he held her that first night, tears streaming down her face for reasons she couldn't explain, he didn't run. He whispered, "I'm here." For the first time in decades, she dared to believe again, even knowing the truth, even knowing it might destroy her. Trust, the most dangerous thing we give away. Trust is a slow, beautiful suicide. You hand someone the sharpest parts of yourself, your fears, your dreams, the ugly corners you hide from the world, and pray they won't use them to cut you open. Marcus learned this the hard way. At 28, he was the golden boy of the startup world. He'd built his company from nothing, pouring his soul into every line of code. His team wasn't employees, they were brothers. Late nights blurred into dawn over pizza and dreams. He trusted them with everything: equity, secrets, his vulnerabilities after his mom's stroke. "We're family," he'd say, voice thick with emotion, and they'd clink bottles, eyes shining. Then came the email. A competitor launched a near-identical product. Weeks later, proof surfaced. His closest co-founder, the guy he'd mentored since college, had sold them out for a bigger paycheck. The betrayal wasn't just professional, it was visceral. Marcus sat in his darkened office, staring at the screen, feeling his heart actually fracture. He didn't cry. He couldn't. Something inside just died. He became a ghost of himself. Paranoia poisoned every interaction. He'd replay conversations, searching for hidden knives. Sleep abandoned him. When he finally broke down in the shower one morning, water mixing with tears, he screamed until his voice gave out, "Why wasn't I enough?" The pain wasn't anger. It was grief. Grief for the version of himself that believed in people. Trust, once broken, leaves shards embedded deep. They cut every time you try to love again. Sarah knows this too well. She met Jake in a crowded stomach flip. They fell hard, nights whispering dreams under tangled sheets, promising the world to each other. "I trust you with everything I am," she told him one night, voice trembling with the weight of it. He kissed her forehead and said, "And I'll never let you go." 3 years later, he took a job across the ocean. "Long distance will be hard, but we're stronger," he swore. She clung to those words like a lifeline. Until the photos appeared, him laughing with someone else, arms wrapped around a stranger in the way he used to hold her. When she confronted him, his voice was flat. "I didn't mean for it to happen." She hung up and shattered, literally fell to the floor, clutching her chest as if she could physically hold her breaking heart together. The sobs came in waves, violent and unstoppable, until she thought she'd drown in them. For months, she couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every love song was torture. Every happy couple on the street felt like a personal attack. But slowly, painfully, she began to write. Raw, bleeding words poured out, about the agony of loving someone who chose to leave. Her blog became a sanctuary for thousands of broken hearts. And one day, staring at her reflection, eyes still red but fierce, she whispered, "I trust myself now. That's enough." The scar remained, but it no longer bled. Heartbreak, the physical agony of losing. Heartbreak isn't metaphor. It's physical. Your chest caves in, your stomach twists. You can't breathe without pain. Doctors call it takotsubo, cardiomyopathy. Your heart literally changes shape under extreme grief. Liam lived it. He was a musician with fingers that coaxed magic from guitar strings. Mia danced into his life at one of his shows, her laughter cutting through the smoke and noise like sunlight. They were fire and gasoline, passionate, consuming. Nights blurred into mornings, making love, planning tours, dreaming of a life woven together with music. Then Mia's darkness surfaced. Addiction, relapses, lies piling like wreckage. Liam fought for her, held her hair during withdrawal shakes, cried with her in rehab waiting rooms, promised he'd never leave. "We'll get through this," he'd whisper, voice cracking. One morning he woke to silence, a note on the kitchen table. "I love you, but I'm destroying you. I have to go." She was gone. Just like that. The pain was inhuman. He couldn't play, couldn't sing. His guitar gathered dust while he drank himself numb. Some nights he'd scream her name into the void, begging the universe to bring her back. His songs turned into wails, raw, guttural expressions of loss that tore his throat raw. But one night, months later, he picked up his guitar with shaking hands. The first chord broke something open. Tears streamed as he played, pouring every ounce of agony into music. That album, born from pure devastation, became his masterpiece. Sold-out shows, fans weeping in the crowd, feeling seen in their own pain. He met someone new eventually, someone who saw the scars and didn't flinch. When she asked about his past, he cried, telling her about Mia. But this time the tears were healing. The slow, silent drift. That hurts just as deep. Not all leaving is dramatic. Some is quiet erosion, friendships fading like old photographs. Zoe, Raj, Lena, and Tom were college soulmates. Nights of cheap wine, deep talks till sunrise, promises carved in stone. We'll always have each other. They were each other's emergency contacts, wedding dates, crisis callers. Then life happened. Jobs in different cities, marriages, babies, mental health battles. Texts went from daily to weekly to birthdays only. The group chat fell silent. Zoe felt it most acutely one Christmas, scrolling old photos alone in her apartment. Tears fell hot and sudden as she realized they'd become strangers. No fight, no betrayal, just drift. The ache was different, quieter but somehow more devastating, like losing someone who's still breathing. She reached out. Some responded warmly, others didn't, and she learned the hardest truth. Sometimes love isn't enough to keep people close. Growth pulls us apart as much as it pulls us forward. Chapter 5. When everyone leaves, who remains? In the wreckage of loss, one truth emerges raw and clear. You are still here. Elena paints now, violent strokes of color that scream her pain onto canvas. Marcus meditates at dawn, learning to trust his own breath again. Sarah writes letters to her younger, broken self. Liam plays for crowds who sing his heartbreak back to him. Self-trust becomes sacred. When the world abandons you, you learn to hold your own hand, to whisper, "I'm still here, I'm enough." Rising from the ashes, stories that bleed. Hope Priya's arranged marriage ended in quiet devastation when her husband chose tradition over her dreams. She fled to a new city with nothing but bruises on her soul. Years later, she found love that saw her fully and married him in a ceremony that honored her choices. David was bankrupted by a partner's betrayal. Instead of bitterness, he started mentoring young entrepreneurs, teaching them to protect their hearts and their dreams. These aren't fairy tales, they're proof. The human spirit bends, breaks, and somehow blooms again. Ancient wisdom for modern wounds. Buddhism whispers, everything is impermanent. Clinging causes suffering. Let go gently. The Stoics remind us, we cannot control others' choices, only our response to them. Every wisdom tradition agrees, this pain is universal. You are not cursed, you are alive. How to survive when it feels impossible. Cry until you're empty. Scream into pillows. Write letters you'll never send. Run until your lungs burn. Talk to someone who won't flinch from your darkness. Create, paint, sing, cook, build, anything to prove you still exist. Time doesn't heal. You do. Slowly, messily, bravely. The exquisite pain of knowing it won't last. Here's the cruel beauty. Because everyone leaves eventually, every moment becomes sacred. The way someone's laugh catches in their throat, the warmth of their hand in yours, the quiet mornings when the world feels safe. Knowing it's temporary makes it infinite. We love harder, we forgive faster, we savor deeper. Like cherry blossoms, gone in days but burned forever into memory. To you, still bleeding. If you're reading this with tears blurring the screen, know this. You will survive this. Not because the pain shrinks, but because you will grow around it, like a tree enfolding an old wound. The people who left took pieces of you, but they also left space for new love, deeper wisdom, fiercer strength. One day you'll wake up and realize the ache has become a quiet companion rather than a screaming tormentor. You'll trust again, carefully, trembling, beautifully. And when someone new holds your fragile heart, you'll whisper the truth you've earned through blood and tears. I know you might leave, but I'm going to love you anyway. Because that's what we do. We break, we bleed, we love again. Everyone leaves eventually, but the love we give, that stays forever.